dramatic biblical narratives, lessons from kings and courageous heroes. This video will focus on dramatic events and memorable characters that shaped the destiny of God's people. From proud kings who learn humility to courageous women who save their people, these biblical narratives offer valuable teachings for our lives. They did not bow down. Sometime after King Nebuchadnezzar had the dream about the statue, he made a huge image out of gold. He set it up on the plain of Dura and called the most important people in the land, including Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, to gather in front of it. The king commanded, "As soon as you hear the sound of trumpets, harps, and bagpipes, bow down to the statue. Anyone who will not bow down will be thrown into a burning furnace." Would the three Hebrews bow down to the statue, or would they worship only Jehovah? Then the king commanded that the music be played. Everyone fell down and worshipped the statue except for Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Some of the men noticed this and told the king, "Those three Hebrews refused to worship your statue." Nebuchadnezzar sent for them and said, "I'm going to give you another chance to worship the statue. If you do not, I will throw you into the furnace." "There is no God who will be able to save you from me." They answered, "We do not need another chance. Our God can save us. But even if he does not, O king, we will not worship the statue." Nebuchadnezzar got very angry. He told his men, "Make the fire in the furnace 7 times hotter than usual." Then he commanded his soldiers, "Tie up these men and throw them in." The furnace was so hot that when the soldiers got close to it, they died instantly. The three Hebrews fell into the fire. But when Nebuchadnezzar looked inside, he saw that there were 4 men walking around in the furnace instead of 3. He became frightened and asked his officials, "Didn't we throw 3 men into the fire? I see 4, and one of them looks like an angel." Nebuchadnezzar went closer to the furnace and called out, "Come out, you servants of the Most High God." Everyone was amazed to see Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego walk out of the fire unharmed. Their skin, their hair, and their clothing had not been burned, and they did not even smell of fire. Nebuchadnezzar said, "The God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego is great. He sent his angel and saved them. There is no God like theirs." Like the 3 Hebrews, are you determined to be loyal to Jehovah no matter what happens? It is Jehovah your God you must worship, and it is to him alone you must render sacred service. Matthew 4:10. A kingdom, like a big tree. One night, Nebuchadnezzar had a frightening dream. He called his wise men in to tell him what it meant, but none of them could explain his dream. Finally, the king spoke to Daniel. Nebuchadnezzar told Daniel, "In my dream, I saw a tree. It grew so tall that it reached the sky. It could be seen from anywhere on earth. It had beautiful leaves and lots of fruit. Animals rested in its shade, and birds made their nests in its branches. Then an angel came down from heaven. He called out, 'Chop the tree down and cut off its branches. But leave the stump with its roots in the ground and put bands of iron and copper around it. The heart of the tree will change from that of a human to that of a beast, and 7 times will pass over it. All people will learn that God is ruler and that he can give a kingdom to whomever he wants. Jehovah revealed to Daniel what the dream meant. When Daniel understood the dream, he became frightened. He said, "O king, I wish that this dream was about your enemies, but it is about you. The big tree that was chopped down is you. You will lose your kingdom, and you will eat grass in the field, just like a wild animal. But because the angel said to leave the stump with its roots, you will become king again." A year later, Nebuchadnezzar was walking on the flat roof of his palace, admiring Babylon. He said, "Look at this magnificent city I have built. See how great I am." As he was speaking, a voice from heaven said, "Nebuchadnezzar, now you have lost your kingdom." At that moment, Nebuchadnezzar lost his mind and became like a wild animal. He was forced to leave his palace and live with the wild animals in the field. Nebuchadnezzar's hair grew long like an eagle's feathers, and his nails were like a bird's claws. After 7 years had passed, Nebuchadnezzar became normal again, and Jehovah made him king of Babylon. Then Nebuchadnezzar said, "I praise Jehovah, the King of the heavens. Now I know that Jehovah is ruler. He humbles proud people, and he can give a kingdom to whomever he wants." Pride is before a crash, and a haughty spirit before stumbling. Proverbs 16:18. The writing on the wall. In time, Belshazzar became the king of Babylon. One night, he invited 1,000 of the most important people in the land to a feast. He ordered his servants to bring out the gold cups that Nebuchadnezzar had taken from Jehovah's temple. Belshazzar and his guests drank from the cups and praised their gods. Suddenly, a man's hand appeared and began to write mysterious words on the wall of the dining hall. Belshazzar was terrified. He called in his magicians and promised them, "If anyone can explain these words, I will make him the third most powerful man in Babylon." They tried, but none of them could explain the words. The queen then came in and said, "There is a man named Daniel who used to explain things to Nebuchadnezzar. He can explain these words to you." Daniel came into the king. Belshazzar said to him, "If you can read and explain these words, I will give you a gold necklace and make you the third most powerful man in Babylon." Daniel said, "I don't want your gifts, but I will tell you what these words mean. Your father Nebuchadnezzar was proud, and Jehovah humbled him. You know everything that happened to him, but you disrespected Jehovah by drinking wine out of the gold cups from his temple. So God has written these words, Mene, Mene, Tekel, and Parsin. The words mean that the Medes and the Persians will conquer Babylon, and you will not be king anymore." It seemed as if nobody could conquer Babylon. This city was protected by thick walls and a deep river. But that very night, the Medes and the Persians attacked. The Persian king Cyrus diverted the river so that his soldiers could march right up to the gates of the city. When they got there, the gates were open. The army stormed in, conquered the city, and killed the king. Then Cyrus became ruler of Babylon. Within a year, Cyrus announced, "Jehovah has told me to rebuild his temple in Jerusalem. Any of his people who want to help are free to go." So just as Jehovah had promised, many of the Jews returned home, 70 years after Jerusalem was destroyed. Cyrus sent back the gold and the silver cups and the utensils that Nebuchadnezzar had taken from the temple. Can you see how Jehovah used Cyrus to help his people? She has fallen. Babylon the Great has fallen, and she has become a dwelling place of demons. Revelation 18:2. The video explores powerful biblical narratives featuring kings and heroes, highlighting themes of faith, pride, and divine intervention as characters navigate through trials of loyalty and humility. Daniel in the lion's pit. Another king of Babylon was Darius the Mede. Darius saw that Daniel was special. He put Daniel in charge of the most important men in the land. These men were jealous of Daniel and wanted to get rid of him. They knew that Daniel prayed to Jehovah 3 times every day. So they told Darius, "O king, there should be a law that everyone should pray to you alone. Anyone who disobeys the law should be thrown into a pit full of lions." Darius liked the idea, and he signed the law. As soon as Daniel heard about the new law, he went to his house. In front of an open window, he got down on his knees and prayed to Jehovah. The jealous men burst into his house and caught him praying. They ran to Darius and said, "Daniel is disobeying you. He prays to his God 3 times every day." Darius liked Daniel and didn't want him to die. All day long, he tried to think of a way to save Daniel. But not even the king could change a law that he had already signed. He had to order his men to throw Daniel into the pit of ferocious lions. That night, Darius was so worried about Daniel that he could not sleep. In the morning, he ran to the pit and called to Daniel. "Did your God save you?" Darius heard a voice. It was Daniel. He called to Darius, "Jehovah's angel, shut the lions' mouths. They did not hurt me at all." Darius was so happy, he ordered that Daniel be lifted out of the pit. Daniel did not have a scratch on him. Then the king commanded, "Throw the men who accused Daniel into the pit." When those men were thrown into the pit, the lions devoured them. Darius sent out this order to his people: "Everyone must fear Daniel's God. He rescued Daniel from the lions." Do you pray to Jehovah every day, just like Daniel? Jehovah knows how to rescue people of godly devotion out of trial. 2 Peter chapter 2-9. Subscribe to our channel, and in the next video, you will discover from the courage of Esther, the wisdom of Ezra teaching the law, to the rebuilding of the walls of Jerusalem led by Nehemiah, and the birth announcement of John. These biblical stories transport us to a time of faith and great change. Don't miss next video.